It's week 7. The Jets are desperate to avoid 0-7 as they face the Panthers this Sunday. Can the Jets find their first win of the season? Let's talk about it.
To all the non-believers. How did that? To all the non-believers. Especially you, Tom Jackson. Way to have our back, Keyshawn. Anybody can be beat.
All right, guys. Welcome back to Jets Field. Today we'll be talking Panthers versus Jets, this week 7 matchup at MetLife Stadium, as the Jets are looking to avoid this 0-7 slide, this collapse, destruction, embarrassment of a season, trying to find our first win.
I want better etiquette, but more than anything, I want better execution. Are we clear on that? I want better fucking execution.
For the organization, the fan base, their first win for the head coach. And this is coming. We got a young, surging, young Panthers offense that's coming to town that's been really turning heads these last couple of weeks. And yeah, it's going to be difficult because, you know, we're without a couple of key guys. We're coming off of, we have zero momentum. It's going to be a tough, difficult battle. But I have a couple of key points I want to address, you know, that maybe the Jets can find a way to get that first win of the season. You know, we have a couple of things that playing to our advantage, you know, but it also comes to the flip side of it as well, because Panthers are 0-3 on the road this year. So you would tend to believe that that's a good analytical thing when you think about them traveling to New York and playing us. But we the Jets have, obviously we have 0 wins on the season, and we have failed to defend our home turf every single time. So yeah, let's get into it. First point that I want to bring up for key to victory is the Jets establishing the run game. This is something that I repeat week after week after week, just because this is the identity of this football team. You know, guys like Breece Hall and Isiah Davis, you know, they're going to have to really bring their A game. And if we can find a way to be creative and, you know, get Justin Fields involved as well in that rushing attack, it can only benefit us. You know, listen, we're not going to be throwing the ball all over the place, unless we fall back significantly, like we've done in the past. We can't go out there and have Justin Fields throw 30 times. It's not going to end up well for us. So we have to find a way to establish this run game. Can we figure out a way to get all 3 of those guys involved? Breece Hall, Isiah Davis, and then, like I said, Justin Fields, run pass options, wishbones, fucking wildcat, something. Just figure out a way to get this rushing attack established, because all this is compounded by the fact that now our primary and only receiving threat out there is most likely not going to be playing this week and for the foreseeable couple weeks. Garrett Wilson suffered a knee injury in this last week's loss to Denver Broncos. It's still not solidified if he's going to be out for the game. I don't know if they're just trying to find a tactical advantage on it. But then you have other reports saying that he's going to be out for, you know, at least a couple weeks. And honestly, there's no reason to rush this guy back. We're playing for nothing at this point, outside of pride. So it wouldn't be smart and prudent to have this guy be rushed back into the lineup, and then he ultimately finds himself with a significant major knee injury that could really derail his whole the rest of his career. So Breece Hall, Isiah Davis, Justin Fields, these guys are going to have to step up. Can we find a way to put some points up early, so we can avoid this typical Jets offense, which is kick field goals, punt the ball, 3 and outs. Like, can we find a way early and often to get the ball down the field, convert in the red zone, and at times put the ball in the end zone? Like, we can't be kicking field goals and expecting to win in this league. It's just not. It's just not possible in this league anymore. So, yeah. And like I mentioned before, guys, you know, Garrett Wilson being out, who's going to step up? Because if we can establish this run game, at least put some type of fear into the Panthers defense, because we're talking about a Panthers defense that's ranked number 21 in the league right now. They're not a top echelon defense in this league. We can find success running the ball. We can find success throwing the ball in specific situations. Because obviously everybody's seen last week's performance by Justin Fields, or lack of performance, or zero negative performance that we've seen from him. So if we can find a way to establish the rushing attack, like this is the thing though. Their rushing defense is their strength out of their whole defense. They're ranked number 9 in the league. They give up 94 yards a game. So they're stout up front. Guys like Derek Brown, he's a disruptor back there. He's a major force on that offensive line, on that defensive line. Can our offensive line mitigate that and impose their will on them? Guys like Olu Fashanu, he needs to step up. He needs to start showing himself, because he's statistically one of the worst left tackles in the league this year so far. In pass protection and rush, rushing attack, he's been, I don't know what's going on with him, but I still have faith that he'll figure it out. Obviously, he's a young left tackle in the league. There's a lot of adjustment, but yeah, we need to find a way to establish our rushing attack and put some fear into the Panthers defense, where they respect our rushing attack enough that they're just not going to, they're just not going to sell all out sell it to stop the run. And if they do, that works to our benefit, because now, if Justin Fields is capable enough, can we find a way for him to set up some play action passes and set up some one read passing, something that can be effective for his skill set? Guys like Mason Taylor, that's been emerging over these last couple of weeks and showing development, can he take that next step forward? And can they give him some more targets, especially with Garrett Wilson being out? Jeremy Ruckert, is he going to show up? Can we see another guy get involved? Maybe like this kid Woods that we picked up from the Colts, like this tight end that we picked up from the Colts, a big athletic freak of physical specimen out there. Can we see him go out there and try to make an impact? Can our tight ends group help establish that run and also flourish in their opportunities when they get the opportunity to catch the football and create something out of those catches? These are all things that we need to see. Guys like Josh Reynolds, he showed a lot of fight out there last week, despite of him only having 3 receptions. Josh Reynolds, can he step up? They're gonna have to. Who else? Alan Lazard, Arian Smith. Like, these are all guys. Like, if we're gonna find ourselves in a situation where we're rushing the football constantly, and they're gonna come down and stack the box, stop the run. And in those moments, can we find a way to utilize our play action attack and give a strike down the field, deliver a big home run strike down the field? This is something we've lacked all year. I mean, we've been inept on offense. We've been inept for the most part on defense. Can we find a way to get one of these big explosive plays? Because this is something that we've been lacking, either through the rushing attack or through the passing game. Listen, Justin Fields, just have these guys do streak routes and throw the ball as far as he can down the field. Let's see. Maybe you get a pass interference, you can extend the drive. But this is all going back. We need to be able to find a way to put up points early and not just settle for field goals and punts. We got to find a way to do that, because guess what? Then we find ourselves behind the 8 ball, and now we're trying to play catch up, and we're not built to play catch up, especially with Garrett Wilson being out, and especially with the guy we have under center. That's another thing I want to talk about. Is this week, if we see Justin Fields struggle mightily again, is Aaron Glenn going to pull the trigger and put Tyrod in? Listen, he's come out all this whole week backing his starter, Justin Fields. Can we see this? Maybe the pressure has gotten to him. Come halftime, if Fields is not performing, can we see that shift?
The door hit you in the vagina on the way out.
Because I guess what I would almost bet anything on that Tyrod can operate and be more efficient in this offense with him under center starting, because this has been 5-year experiment with Justin Fields. He just doesn't know what he's doing out there. He just doesn't have it. He shows glimpses, but then it just evaporates into a complete disaster. And so I don't want to go into bashing Justin Fields. This was a 2-year prove me contract that we brought him in on. Still, don't even get me into the fact that I don't know why we let Aaron Rodgers walk and we decided that this was the better option. That's besides the point. Look what Rodgers is doing right now. And I said this in a lot of my preseason videos. He was coming off a major injury, Rodgers, right? Major. I'm going a little sidetracked, but just stay with me. He came off a major injury last year, 2 years ago. Came back last year. He got bumped. He was beat up all year. But once he got healthy towards the end of the year, you saw a different Aaron Rodgers, and now you're seeing it continue this season. So I thought it was a big mistake for the Jets to let go Rodgers. I've already made that known. So let's get into point number 2. So everybody knows how the Panthers have been surging these last 2-3 weeks. Their offense is absolutely exploded. So can we contain the Panthers' rushing attack? The kid Dowdle, it has seemingly came out of nowhere, even though he was a very effective running back for the Dallas Cowboys. But these last 2 weeks, he's averaging. I know last week he ran for over. Was it last week or the week before? He ran over 200 yards. Anyway, the kid is straight out balling out. He is the premier running back right now in the league. Given his stats over these past couple weeks, he is that guy. In the last 2 games, he's had 180 plus yards rushing the ball back-to-back games. So it's like that also plays into the Jets' defense. We struggle across the board on defense, but if we have any bright spot, I would think and I would lend myself to believe that our front 7 can and will, if they are given the specific task to stop the run, that they can. They're more than capable. We got Jermaine Johnson back there now. He's back. Harrison Phillips, Quinnen Williams, Will McDonald, even though he's a liability in the run game, you might see a lot more Michael Clemens this week. And then, with our linebackers, can we stop the run? It's going to be a very difficult task to do, because the Panthers have proven themselves to be very effective running the ball these past couple of weeks. And they know that their path to victory is running the football. The Jets have shown ability to give up explosive plays, both passing and in the rushing attacks by our opponents. So we need to make a concentrated effort to stop the run and pretty much put a halt to Dowdle and their second guy, Hubbard. These are guys that we need to keep in check and force the game to go into Bryce Young's hands, because this will lead into my third and final point. We're gonna have to find a way to force turnovers. Bryce Young and the Panthers in general are -4 on the year in the turnover battle. Obviously, we're the worst. We're at -7 for the year. So both of us are piss poor when it comes to takeaways and turning the ball over. So, yeah, can we find a way to force the ball into Bryce Young's hands and see if he could beat us? Can he beat guys like Sauce Gardner and Brandon Stevens and our new nickel cornerback Brownlee? I'm not too sure about that. Bryce Young, I know he's been showing improvement, especially his last game against the Cowboys has been his best of the year this year. He's thrown for 10 touchdowns this year, I think 5 or 6 interceptions. But last week was his best game of the year. And our Jets defense, given that they did play well last week, has been the problem with this team. The glaring problem outside of last week is the Jets defense has been the problem. So can we see a repeat performance by our defense and can we force another turnover? We brought this kid Brownlee in, and the second play of the game, or whatever, second possession, he forces a turnover immediately. Can we find a way to force another turnover? Can we find a way to create an interception and really find ourselves getting some momentum and not getting behind in the points? The biggest key to victory is that we're going to have to figure out a way for that first half is not to let the Panthers run up the score and force us into throwing the football. If they find confidence in throwing the ball and behind a good rushing attack, it's going to be a recipe for disaster, and we've seen it all year long. So, we've seen a great performance out of our defense last week. We've seen a great performance out of our special teams last week. Can we get another repeat performance by both of those squads this week? I don't know. That's to be determined. Has Steve Wilks finally figured out how to gel and play these players on defense? Like, has he found the right situation now, the right play calling to benefit the personnel that we have on our defense? I would love to see that happen, because that last week's performance reminded me a lot of the Jets defense that we've seen of the past, and that will give us every chance to win a game. But our Achilles heel has been and will continue to be our quarterback. It's just the unfortunate situation we've been in for so many years now. So, do the Jets turn to Tyrod if Fields is struggling again? I certainly hope they do that.
The door hit you in the vagina on the way out.
I'm not looking to see the Jets win 5 or 6 games there at this point. It is what it is. But I would like to see some competitive, competent football out there at this point. I think that's all us Jet fans right now could wish and pray for, is that we just see some type of positivity, we can build some type of momentum going into this next offseason. I can't even believe that we're talking about draft and the offseason already, but come October, usually that's what we start talking about. So, yeah. Be on the lookout for a couple of the guys on the Panthers. This rookie, Tet McMillan, he's starting to emerge and being a problem out there. They have that kid Leggett out there. They have some weapons out there on offense. So it's going to be incumbent that our defense shows up again. We get some plays out of our special teams, and that our offense runs the football, establishes the run, and in moments, in certain specific situations, can the Jets find a way to make a big impactful play off a play action, or just even creating converting third downs. I guess we're going to find out on Sunday. I don't have much faith right now in Justin Fields and the offense in general. Like, everything's regressed. The offensive line play has regressed. Justin Fields, it's more of the same. So, yeah, leave me your thoughts and comments and everything you feel like the Jets could do in this game, where they might find a weakness in the Panthers. Shout out to Tyler on TikTok. Appreciate the support. He sent me some of his keys to the victory this weekend. Man, he was spot on a lot of stuff I brought up as well. Yeah. Anyway, appreciate all the love and support. Like, share, subscribe, share this stuff so I can grow this stuff. And prediction, Jets lose. I'm going to say 21-13. As always, go Jets.